I'm Queen Eye Sally.
And I guess I'll just be Coach Flo. So, until I decide something else. But
Very crazy.
all right, welcome back to our channel. You feel me? You guys are tuning in to Black Couple Goals. You feel me? All right, so what we're doing is we're having an open discussion. You feel me? About open discussion.
Exactly.
Right? Open dialogue, open communication. So, what I was praising my spouse, soon to be wife here on, is her open communication. That's been very helpful for me. Open communication has helped me sift through some ideas that, that normally I feel like people would have to keep secret, but when you have a partner you can talk about everything, then it's much easier to deal with different ideas, and you're able to play them out of your mind or something like that before you even take it to a detrimental situation that affects the family or affects your relationship. So, without disclosing everything, I said that in the most creative way. But yeah, so we were at a part where you were saying, you were explaining why you were open.
Well, yeah, I just took the approach, in the beginning of our relationship and throughout our relationship. It's like, I feel like some people, they're not as open with each other because they're so fearful of losing each other.
Right.
And I'm like, especially in the beginning, like, you got to be, or just throughout, but as you're learning, you can't be fearful of losing someone. You just have to be open, and that's why I always encourage talking about our inner thoughts with each other. And
right.
Even if it may seem like that would be offensive to the average woman, like, I'm not gonna take offense from that. That's like something that's natural thoughts. As a man or even as a woman, we have natural thoughts in our head, and you even told me before, right, it's like keeping it in your head is like even harder, right, for you to keep it in your head, and just being able to have that outlet, like, I kind of thought about this, or I was feeling this way,
Yeah.
But yeah, I took that approach, and I continue to, because I feel like if you're honest and open with each other, I forget what exactly I was saying, but basically I just didn't want to yes, I think people take so long to learn each other,
right,
like 5, 6, 7 years in a relationship, because they were so withholding everything and so fearful of showing their what's on their mind and things like that. And I'm like, just, stay
right.
open. I forget exactly what I said, but yeah.
You're good. Yeah, so we were having this before we decided to bring it onto the channel, you feel me, and start our channel, essentially. But yeah, no, I totally agree, as, especially, and I feel like it's easier to make that decision as we're older. We're like, hey, we're not going to play any games. We're going to, put the information out up front so that we can make a decision more timely.
Right, exactly. That's all I'm saying. I was like, in the beginning, it's like, are we meant to be together?
Right.
If we say we're going to be together with all of our flaws, why not talk about everything now?
Right.
See
if there's anything that we can accept.
Yeah. If there's something I can't accept, then I just can't accept it. Right. I love you, but hey, I can't. Or I'm willing to accept that. Thank you for being honest about that early on in the relationship.
Right.
And I like how you mentioned that the fact that you were able to talk about certain things,
right,
it made certain desires even less.
Right.
So can you elaborate on that?
Definitely.
Because that's a nice male perspective, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy I took that approach.
Right. So for me personally, and this isn't going to be for everybody, but just being able to openly communicate about all desires, all things that might seem taboo, or any kind of just desire in your mind. So if it's like what is it called, polygamy with multiple women, or marrying multiple women, or just things that may seem taboo to another person, if you're able to openly communicate about things that are like that, then it's much easier for you to kind of go through the thoughts and just fairly assess the pros and cons of each situation. So if you're able to do that with your partner, for me personally, just with the things that we've talked about, it made me feel much more comfortable talking with her and just accepting myself, and just, and it didn't necessarily have to end in me taking action on those ideas. It was just understanding that those were fair, and those were okay thoughts to have. So it's just like, that's empowering to just feel like the stuff you're thinking is normal. If it's thinking about multiple partners or anything like that, those things are normal. So if you treat it as like it's normal, as opposed to treating like it's taboo, it's
right,
terrible.
Those ideas are normal.
Right. So it's much easier to deal with the thoughts when they're acceptable and they're understood for what they are, and not words like, oh, you're such a bad person. Because I just have this this idea that if, that maybe not personally with me, but if somebody is approached in, hey, that's taboo, you shouldn't do that, they're more likely to want to do it more. And that could have happened with me, but I didn't, experience that, because we talked about ideas like that, and I was able to get through those feelings because I didn't feel like it was a bad thing to feel. I just felt like understood. So most people just want to be understood. So maybe that causes them to just take the action as opposed to talking with their partner. So because they feel like they can't.
I could imagine if I were to like shame you or say like, how could you think that,
Right.
and why would you think that, then that's just gonna make you shut down and not communicate, and then it's going to continue to kind of brew, and then you're, like you said,
Right.
you may want to act out,
Just lash out
on those ideas, or so yeah.
Right. And yeah, definitely the approach, I mean, it's may not be the same for every relationship, because that openness could lead to another person in another relationship going ahead and acting on it because they felt like that was a green light for them to go ahead and do that. So that's fair for someone else to just be so like with you I feel like I felt the like, hey, it is what it is type of personality or mentality, is like, I'm open to understanding this idea, and if it happens, I'm kind of like understanding and ready to make my decision from there. But
Right.
And if in a different relationship, I guess that's a strong stance to have, because you have to be ready for either way.
Right,
So,
exactly. I mean, at least state your boundaries and limits in the beginning, but I think being open to talk about the idea, it doesn't have to necessarily be in action, but like you said, being able to get it out there and then weighing those pros and cons. And then you've mentioned before, like sometimes it doesn't seem like a reality now that you talk about it, or just even talking about it. It just
Right.
like you weigh the pros and cons, you weigh the ideas and societal norms versus, is this a societal norm? And we definitely don't like to go off of societal norms. We base our relationship based off of what works for us.
Right.
So what is Isali and Michael's relationship? And that's how we're learning each other, by talking about anything and everything. What is the foundation of our relationship, and what does it mean to be married and be together with each other for us, not based off of anybody else's ideas, societal norms, or anything like that.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, that's key for anybody watching this as well, is really shutting out the world and deciding what works for you in your relationship. I think a lot of people base their relationship off of what is the outside going to think once I present to them what we've decided is comfortable for us. So the more you can shut out the world and decide like, hey, this is fair for me, this works for me, and this works for her, or vice versa. So we're going to go with this, and then just kind of be unapologetic with, hey, this is how we're going to run our life.
exactly.
Simple things like us going vegan is like that, but that's kind of easy. It's a health, it's a food choice, and it just made sense for us. But anything else in relationship, something like that, where you make a decision together that, hey, this is what we're going to do in our relationship, and this is what we're going to focus on.
Exactly.
That's the kind of approach you got to take, and not go off of societal norms. So like, hey, well, if this couple doesn't let the man do this, or the man doesn't let the woman do this, then we're gonna do that too. You can't really base that off of, you know, an outside happy relationship that, you know, they might be having a great relationship over there with what they do, and some of the things we might do make us happy and won't work for somebody else. So really gotta just work together on what's good for both of you guys. Everybody's different.
Identifying who first of all, you have to know who you are.
Right.
So identifying who you are, and then who you are as a unit.
That's a fact.
You know, and I think in the way beginning of our relationship, we talked about, like, you know, 1 + 1 is now we're a unit. Like, we have to, like, I forget exactly what we said, but we even got deep and said it's like our subconscious is like merging together, and we've definitely seen that, like finishing each other's sentences, thinking the same thing, and, you know, same ideas, and but that's, you're definitely like down to the energy, the subconscious vibrations, all of that. Like, it starts being in sync, especially when you're able to communicate with each other. Then eventually you start thinking without even speaking, you know?
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier about the more open you are with communication in the beginning, the easier it is for you guys to help think for each other. Like, you know, I know she wouldn't want me to do that, or, you know, I know he wouldn't like that, or something like that. It just helps you to be quicker with it if you're just more forthcoming with what you actually want. So I think it's we're taught generally in, like, through watching couples on TV or just societal couples, we learn to like withhold so much in the beginning, and it's like you're really wasting each other's time in the beginning. If there was something that you could have disclosed from the get-go, that kind of just wouldn't waste both of you guys' time. There's just a lot of that we learn about getting to know each other that's it just, you know, kind of wastes everybody's time, you know. You know, but I guess going back to the idea of getting the stuff out of your head, that was something I wanted to touch on when you said, but just like with any situation, the more you just contemplate it in your mind, the worse it is. So it's like, if it's a situation where you want to talk about just the desire of being with other women or other partners or something, and you want to talk to your partner about it just to get their stance on it, it might seem worse in your brain because you're not saying anything about it, so you're creating more and more fantasy about how negative it'll go, how they'll cut you out, all these kind of things, where if you just talk to them, it becomes a different situation where, you know, it could go bad, but it still may not be as bad as you make it in your brain. So but that's just the idea of getting the thought out.
Finding someone attractive at work, you know, just like it doesn't even have to be in action. It's just like, yeah, they were attractive at work. Like, just talking, being able to say it out loud, and then you talk about how, you know, you consciously make sure you don't show them any energy or any, you know, any type, you avoid them, or, you know, like in a good, you know, not in a, like, you just basically avoid showing them like any energy that shows that you're available or anything like that, but you still talk those things out loud, or, you know, we're able to talk openly about things like that, you know. I
think that's one thing that really helps us is the truthful, the fairness of reality that we bring with each other. It's like, you know, if she sees somebody attractive, she's able to say that, and, you know, we both can joke about like the jealousy idea or something, but it's just like, we don't just close down who we like are just off like, okay, I met him, she met me, we stop being, you know, we start being these perfect people that never see anything else in the world. It's a growth process of just understanding natural innate feelings and stuff like that, just understanding that about each other. Like, hey, there's definite possibility.
Before I forget, that's a great segue into like how you do phenomenal. Like, I just love how my king like does phenomenal at just avoiding, like, even like on Instagram and stuff, the booty videos and stuff like that. Like, you tell me how like you make sure to click, and you would click and say the option for not interested in that content. and then it won't show you that content anymore. And
Right.
you do great at avoiding things, so that could probably be a whole different
Right.
discussion. But I love your honesty and how you have like consciously, like, you know, you made it have been at a certain level, but then you came down from like, I'll scroll right past those videos, I click, not interested in, you know. So that's yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I hope we're loud enough on this, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are.
okay.
But yeah, no, that's a different journey and process within myself, and of course I share with her because it benefits my queen. But yeah, that's a total different process for just, you know, the male aspect of it. Luckily I have a friend that thinks similar to me, to where I can talk to him about those things where we're targets, because, you know, we're the ones that are going to pay for sex essentially, like, and sex sells, who's paying for it? The men. So pretty much the more you can sexualize content, the more you can sell products, and the more men are going to buy them. And so basically we're targeted. So me knowing that, it's like I want to live above that. I want to be stronger than that. So yeah, it's a deep conversation. I mean, I'll just give a little bit of it here, but it's just taking the approach of you know, I want to be disciplined. I want to be in control of my thoughts, my actions. If I'm sitting down watching girls and just being lustful over them, I'm not in control of my time, because all it takes is just me seeing one girl for it to take my whole attention off of anything I'm focusing on, you know. And even more so than just being for my queen, not to focus on somebody else, it's just for myself, not to be focused on somebody else and just take up all my time to be creative, grow a business or anything.
Right.
So yeah, I was noticing that within myself, you know, being single and, you know, watching pornography or anything like that, and just, you know, having an abundance of time allotted to nothing. It's just like just, you know, wasting time, falling asleep after consuming content and stuff like that, as
Right.
opposed to working on something for myself. So you know, I just have this goal of wanting to be more disciplined, and it's a journey, it's a process. But you know,
that you do great at.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a journey and a process that, you know, you just work and get better at. And so, like she was saying, I treat it like a game with Instagram content, you know. So as soon as I see something that I would normally, that's still attractive, it is what it is, I just say, I'm not interested, because I don't want to get consumed and enthralled in this content. So hey, it is what it is. People are still attractive. It is what it is. I'm just gonna make sure that's not my, you know, focus, you know. So yeah, that's my, you know,
Yeah,
spiel with
so
that.
yeah, definitely comment what else y'all would like us to go more into, and because we can go in depth on any topic, and I feel like you can go in depth with that a lot, like,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah, we want to start this channel to share our relationship tips and just go through our ups and downs if we ever, you know, have any. We have a lot of things in place to keep us from having disagreements, but we know we're getting married soon, so so we're getting married soon, so we know that you know, once we're actually married and we're having kids and stuff, there's going to be different tests, but we do pretty good at communicating. So we're gonna, you know, give out the advice that we have and work through the things that we work through, and then definitely be open to hear, you know, different ideas from different couples that are making things work. But yeah, we definitely want to just help out and give a different perspective. We know our perspective is different, so we want to help and share that. So
exactly.
So yeah, smash that like button, like, share, subscribe, all that.
Hey, peace and blessings.